In the lively heart of an African town where boda-bodas zigzag like they are late for destiny, and market women negotiate prices like it's an Olympic sport, lived a girl named Zuri. And Zuri? Zuri was not just beautiful. She was the kind of beautiful that made photographers adjust lenses they weren't even holding. Her skin glowed like sunrise over the savannah. Her smile? Dangerous. Her walk? A slow-motion event even when she was late. When Zuri passed, conversations paused mid-sentence. Babies stopped crying. Even the street dogs reconsidered barking. People used to say, if beauty were money, Zuri would buy the whole town. And unfortunately, she started believing it. The market was Zuri's kingdom. The first time she walked through it, vendors almost fought over her. Zuri, my daughter, take these fresh oranges. No, take my tomatoes, they are as red and spicy as your future. Add onions, for blessings. She would tilt her head slightly, pretending to hesitate. Oh, if you insist. One day she paid for 3 bananas and left with a full shopping bag and someone's nephew's phone number. The fishmonger once cleaned extra tilapia, just in case your husband arrives soon. Did she say thank you? Sometimes. But most times, she would simply smile like she had granted them a favor by existing. Over time, the smile turned into expectation. If someone didn't offer a discount, she would frown. Are you new here? At the bus stop, chaos was normal. But when Zuri arrived, it became a parade. Conductors nearly caused traffic jams trying to impress her. Madam Zuri, front seat, no squeezing. Air-conditioned section. It was not air-conditioned. The window just opened properly. Passengers would shift. Men stood straighter. One conductor once refused to collect her fare. Your smile is enough payment. She laughed. Yes, I know. One afternoon, an elderly woman offered her seat. Instead of politely declining, Zuri adjusted her dress and said, you should really rest at home at your age. The bus went silent. The old woman's eyes softened not with anger, but disappointment. But Zuri didn't notice. Her reflection in the bus window was too interesting. Restaurants adored her. Waiters tripped over themselves to serve her. Free juice, free dessert, extra napkins though she barely needed them. Once, a chef shaped her rice into a heart. Another time, the manager personally escorted her to a table and said, for our VIP, she started snapping her fingers instead of calling waiters. If the food delayed by 5 minutes, this is unacceptable. If the spice level wasn't perfect, is this how you serve everyone? Her friends began exchanging looks. One friend whispered, Zuri, relax. Zuri replied, excellence has standards. Excellence sighed. The morning of the overseas scholarship interview arrived dressed in sunlight and expectation. The entire town seemed emotionally invested. The tomato seller said, when you reach London, don't forget us. The bus conductor saluted her dramatically. Even her former lecturer sent a message. Proud of you. Represent us well. Zuri looked at her reflection one last time before leaving. Navy suit. Pearl earrings. Hair perfectly laid. She whispered to herself, this is already mine. Confidence? Yes. But confidence without humility is like a car without brakes. The interview was held at a prestigious cultural center. Tall glass walls, polished floors that reflected ambition. Other candidates sat quietly in the waiting area. Some revised notes. Some prayed softly. One young man adjusted his tie repeatedly. His hands were trembling. Zuri entered like a red carpet event had mistakenly chosen the wrong location. Heads turned. Whispers followed. Is she a model? She must already have connections. She did not sit immediately. She scanned the room, measuring it. Then she chose a seat in the center, crossed her legs slowly, pulled out her phone. No revision notes, just scrolling. The nervous boy next to her attempted a polite smile. First time applying? He asked gently. Zuri glanced at him. Yes, she replied, but I don't plan on repeating it. He nodded awkwardly. Miss Zuri? A voice called. She rose gracefully, heels clicking like a countdown clock. The panel consisted of 3 interviewers, a middle-aged African woman with observant eyes, a European academic with folded hands, a younger program coordinator typing occasionally. They smiled warmly. She smiled brighter. Welcome, Zuri. Please have a seat. She did slowly. Panelist 1, tell us about yourself. Zuri leaned back slightly. I've always been exceptional in most environments. Academically strong. Socially adaptable. I believe I bring presence wherever I go. Panelist 2 nodded thoughtfully. And how have you contributed to your community? Zuri paused. Well, my success inspires many young girls. In what practical ways? He pressed gently. She blinked. Well, representation matters. The younger coordinator stopped typing for a second. Panelist 1. Can you tell us about a time you failed and what you learned? Zuri smiled politely. I usually prepare thoroughly, so failure is rare. The panel waited. Silence expanded. Finally, she added, if something doesn't work, it's often due to external limitations. Panelist 2's pen paused mid-air. Panelist 3 leaned forward. This program places scholars in multicultural teams. Sometimes you may work under leaders who think differently from you. How do you handle criticism or correction? Zuri responded instantly. I believe in high standards. If someone corrects me unfairly, I challenge it. And if it's fair? The woman asked softly. Zuri hesitated just a second too long. I don't usually receive unfair criticism. The African panelist observed her closely now, not her suit, not her posture, her spirit. Near the end, the European academic mispronounced a local term from her CV. Zuri gently interrupted. Actually, it's pronounced like this. She demonstrated. He smiled politely. Thank you. Technically, she was correct. Socially, she was careless. Correction without grace feels like competition. The room cooled. If selected, panelist 1 asked, how will you represent your country? Zuri responded confidently. I plan to excel. Naturally, I stand out. The panel exchanged a subtle look. They weren't looking for someone who stands out. They were looking for someone who lifts others. The interview ended cordially. Thank you, Zuri. She stood. I look forward to your positive response. There it was. Assumption. As she walked past the waiting candidates, she gave them a small smile, the kind that says, I've already won. The nervous boy avoided her eyes. Something in the air felt different, but Zuri interpreted it as envy. Inside, the panel remained silent for a moment. Panelist 2 sighed. She's intelligent. Yes, panelist 1 agreed. But scholarship is not just academic excellence. The younger coordinator added carefully. She speaks of standing out, not standing with. Silence. One final note was written. 2 weeks later. Subject line. Scholarship outcome. Zuri opened it confidently. We regret to inform you. Her smile froze. She read it again. And again. The words did not change. For the first time in years, beauty could not negotiate. Charm could not discount rejection. Confidence could not interrupt reality. That day, Zuri did not lose because she lacked intelligence. She lost because brilliance without humility feels heavy. Because in rooms that shape the future, character speaks louder than confidence. And sometimes, the opportunity you think is yours is quietly listening to how you treat people. Now Zuri was not jobless from the beginning. Oh no, she had a powerful title. Hotel manager. At one of the most respected city hotels, the kind with shiny floors, scented lobbies, and a receptionist smile, policy stricter than immigration. When Zuri first got the job, the hotel glowed differently. Guests whispered, who is that elegant lady at the front desk? Is she management or decoration? Her posture alone increased room bookings. Her perfume arrived 3 seconds before she did. When she walked through the lobby, even the chandelier seemed to brighten. Staff admired her confidence. Guests appreciated her professionalism. She handled check-ins smoothly, resolved complaints swiftly, smiled strategically. She was not just managing a hotel, she was managing a brand. Her brand. But slowly, something changed. Somewhere between the compliments and the authority, her tone sharpened. The first incident was small. A housekeeper folded towels slightly unevenly. Zuri inspected them like a detective investigating a crime scene. She lifted one towel, held it up, stared at it, then loudly announced, "Can't you fold towels properly?" The lobby fell quiet. The housekeeper, a kind woman named Miriam, who had worked there for 10 years, whispered, "I'll correct it, madam." Zuri shook her head. Excellence is not optional. The guest checking in pretended to study a brochure, very intensely. Soon, correcting staff publicly became a sport. If a waiter misplaced a spoon, This is basic training. If the receptionist mispronounced a guest's name, attention to detail, please. She didn't shout. She didn't insult. She just delivered embarrassment with perfect grammar. And somehow that made it worse. The staff meetings became tense. When she entered the break room, conversations paused. One waiter whispered, "I think even the CCTV cameras are afraid of her." Then came the legendary dynamic city life incident. A guest approached the front desk. Middle-aged man. Calm. Soft-spoken. "Excuse me," he said politely. "The room is quite noisy. There's construction outside, and I couldn't sleep." Zuri gave him her professional smile, the one that did not reach her eyes. "Sir, city life is dynamic." He blinked. "Yes, but I paid for a quiet executive suite. And we provided an executive suite," she replied smoothly. "The city soundtrack is complimentary." The receptionist behind her nearly swallowed a pen. The guest adjusted his glasses. "I see." He didn't argue. He didn't shout. He simply nodded slowly and said, "Thank you for clarifying." Then he walked away. Zuri felt victorious. Another complaint handled. Or so she thought. 2 days later, the general manager called her into his office. He looked unusually formal. There was also someone seated inside. Guess who? Mr. Dynamic City Life. Except this time, he wasn't wearing casual clothes. He wore authority. The general manager cleared his throat. "Zuri, this is Mr. Kamau from the National Tourism Standards Board." Silence. Just pure silence. Mr. Kamau smiled gently. "We conduct anonymous evaluations of hospitality service across the city." Her heartbeat politely requested permission to panic. He continued, "I must say, your facilities are impressive." Pause. However, leadership tone influences service culture. Zuri straightened. "With respect, sir, I maintain high standards." "Yes," he replied kindly. "But hospitality is not only about standards." The general manager nodded. "It's about how people feel." Zuri swallowed. Apparently, and this was news to her, the tourism board didn't just evaluate guests' experiences. They also interviewed staff. Miriam, the towel-folding legend, had spoken carefully, but honestly. One waiter mentioned feeling intimidated. The receptionist described the environment as polished, but tense. Zuri felt betrayed. "They're too sensitive," she argued. The general manager folded his hands. "Or perhaps they are human." A week later, there was another meeting. No tourism official this time, just management. The tone was soft, too soft. "Zuri," the general manager began gently, "we appreciate your competence." She relaxed slightly. "You're organized, efficient, presentable." Presentable. That one felt personal. "But leadership," he continued, "requires humility." She leaned forward passionately. "I demand excellence." They nodded. "And we require empathy." The word hung in the air like unpaid rent. She defended herself. "If I don't push them, standards will drop." The HR manager smiled kindly. "Standards rise faster when people feel respected." Silence. Then came the sentence that changes posture. "We have decided to terminate your contract effective immediately." Just like that. No dramatic music. No slow-motion tears. Just paperwork. She packed her office, her framed certificates, her nameplate, her emergency chocolate drawer. As she walked through the lobby one last time, staff stood politely, not cheering, not clapping, just polite. The same security guard who once beamed when she arrived now simply nodded. "Good afternoon, madam." No extra warmth. No admiration. Just courtesy. Outside, the city was still dynamic. Traffic still honked. Construction still drilled. But for the first time, Zuri felt small in it. Zuri believed excellence meant perfection. But she forgot something simple. People will forget how shiny the lobby was. They will forget how straight the towels were. But they will never forget how you made them feel while folding them. Reality does not offer free upgrades. And in the hotel of life, humility is not a luxury suite. It is the foundation. Then there was Daniel. Soft-spoken. Loyal. Calm like Sunday afternoon. Electricity sometimes low, but always present. Daniel was the kind of man who saved memes just to make Zuri laugh later. Not ordinary memes. Strategically selected memes. Categorized by mood. Laugh when angry. Laugh when hungry. Laugh when acting superior. He loved Zuri before the world started treating her like a limited edition product. Before free avocados. Before VIP bus seats. Before city life is dynamic. Back when she was just Zuri, brilliant, funny, slightly dramatic, but still human. As Zuri's confidence upgraded to premium arrogance, Daniel remained. Daniel. Supportive, patient, possibly too patient. At gatherings, she introduced him like this. This is Daniel, my biggest TikTok fan. Not my boyfriend. Not the love of my life. Fan to the celebrity standing before you. Like he queued for autographs. People would laugh awkwardly. Daniel would smile politely, the smile of a man mentally updating his tolerance levels. One day at a cafe, Daniel mispronounced a French dish. Zuri corrected him immediately. No, it's pronounced croissant. He nodded. Yes, quoi. No, softer. You're forcing it. The waiter watched like he had front row tickets. Daniel whispered later, I was just hungry, not auditioning for Paris. She rolled her eyes. Details matter. One afternoon during an argument about something small, maybe nothing, maybe everything, Zuri said it. You're lucky I chose you. Now, that sentence is dangerous. Because love is not a raffle draw. Daniel paused. Not dramatically. Just paused. Chose me? He repeated gently. Yes, she replied confidently. You know I had options. He nodded slowly. Congratulations? She didn't notice the crack forming. Then came the evening of the walk. No fancy restaurant. No soft lighting. No staff calling her madam. Just a quiet road lined with trees. Birds minding their business. Daniel had intentionally chosen simplicity. Because you can't compete with ego in luxury settings. You need fresh air. They walked side by side. Not holding hands. Not arguing. Just existing. Finally, Daniel spoke. Zuri. I love you. She smiled automatically. Of course he did. But lately, he continued carefully, it feels like loving you means shrinking. She laughed lightly. Oh, please, don't start poetry. He smiled faintly. I'm serious. You're overthinking, she replied. You just need to level up your confidence. He nodded. That's the thing. I'm confident. I just don't need an audience to prove it. She stopped walking. What's that supposed to mean? It means, he said calmly, every room doesn't need to revolve around you. She blinked. That was new. He continued gently. When you correct me in public, it's not education. It's exhibition. Silence. When you call me your fan, it's funny to you. But it's small to me. She folded her arms. You're being insecure. He shook his head. No, I'm being honest. They resumed walking slowly. I don't want to compete, Daniel said. Compete with who? She asked defensively. He looked at her. With your reflection. That one landed. Hard. Because deep down, she knew. He wasn't competing with other men. He wasn't jealous. He was exhausted. Exhausted from loving someone who loved admiration more. She tried to laugh it off. You're dramatic. He smiled, but this time, there was finality in it. No. I'm done shrinking. No shouting. No tears. No dramatic kneeling in the middle of the road. He didn't beg her to change. He didn't insult her back. He simply said, I hope you find someone who claps loud enough for you. And then he walked away. Calmly. Hands in pockets. Dignity intact. Zuri stood there. Stunned. Surely he would turn back. Surely he would text. Surely he would miss her more. He did miss her, but he missed himself more. And that's a battle ego rarely wins. Sometimes, the loudest breakup is the quiet one. Daniel didn't leave because Zuri wasn't beautiful. He left because he refused to become background decoration in someone else's spotlight. Love is not a competition, and no one should feel lucky to be chosen. When they are capable of choosing themselves. Months passed. Zuri returned to the market. No free oranges. Price is 100, the vendor said firmly. At the bus stop, she queued. Nobody fought for her seat. In the restaurant, she paid full bill, including service charge. And something strange happened. The world didn't end. The sky didn't fall. Life simply became normal. And for the first time, Zuri noticed how quiet things felt without applause. One evening, she sat alone and truly looked at herself. Not in admiration, but in honesty. She realized something painful. Beauty had opened doors, but her arrogance had slammed them shut. Respect cannot be demanded. Kindness cannot be faked. And admiration without character is like perfume in the wind, strong at first, gone in seconds. Zuri was still beautiful, but now she understood. Grace makes beauty unforgettable. Humility makes success sustainable. And character. Character is the only thing that never fades. Because in this world, my friend, looks may attract the crowd, but character decides who stays.